Roger, give me that gun, run. Right along that back, baby. Aim hot. Clear hot.
Ladies, gents, how's it going? Random Gary here, aka Gary Proud. For those of you who are about to criticize me for talking about somebody else serving, I am a British Tier 2 Gallantry recipient. I was awarded something called the Conspicuous Gallantry Cross, the Britain's second highest award for gallantry, one below the Victoria Cross. And what I don't try to do is criticize soldiers. What I try to do is recognize their incredible acts of gallantry, but also bring out the human element within them. I am not criticizing anybody. With that in mind, I did a video a couple of weeks ago about Lone Survivor, about Marcus Luttrell. There were some spicy comments in the comment section, but I didn't delete any, because as I read into them, there were some questions that actually made these comments almost relevant. And the more I read into it, the more I realized was we will never know the truth of what happened on that patrol. I had planned to do a series. The series will not happen no more. As Marcus said in one of his other interviews, I'm going to draw a line and we're going to get over it. And I think to do those kind of soldiers on that patrol to justice, I think we would really need a few more counts of a few more witnesses of what happened, and we don't have them. Therefore, let's not guess. Let's leave it. Let's do what we've done with it and leave it there. I've been a little bit inactive lately. I've been very busy. I would like to take this this opportunity to apologize.
To absolutely nobody.
I ain't apologizing. I've been busy as hell. I have been grafting. We've got family stuff going on. Great family stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to bring the news to you very soon. And you guys will be included in on that family news. Off the back of my last video, I was recommended this year the giant killer, Richard J. Flaherty. So let's have a look at his story. I think I'm going to be able to relate with him. Not because I don't know if he actually got any gallantry awards, not because of that, but because I'm a short arse as well. And I served with a couple of short arses. I can't say their names because they're still serving. But let's check out Richard Flaherty.
Richard Flaherty, the giant killer.
He always said he wanted to be a military. And he knew at the time that his height might prevent him from getting in. And matter of fact, the first time he applied,
at least 5 foot tall. Now, the short guys, there was 3 short guys in my regiment, and everybody's going to know who they were. They were a father-son duo, and also a military cross recipient, a tier 3 gallantry recipient. Now, all 3 of them would say they were over 5 foot. I am unsure if they were, and if they're watching, you know how tall you are. Please put it in the comment section. But they all said they were over 5 foot tall. There was this thing where they said in the UK military that there was a height requirement. I think these guys bucked the trend. All 3 of them highly performing soldiers. Actually, one of them, the military cross recipient, actually was in charge of the gun line that just fired a salute for the Duke of Edinburgh. So in a very significant public position. So yeah.
they turned him down. So Walter, at this point, was a lawyer. So he asked Walter to write the congressman.
Good lawyer.
The politicians put a word into the army about this little guy who's, he wants to do this.
This is my thing. I don't give a crap what height you are. I don't give a crap what weight you are. I don't care if you look obese. I have seen some people who looked heavy set, who could cover ground rapidly. I've seen some I was one of them. I was a very skinny individual. I weighed 8.5 stone. You could put weight on my back and I would just skim across any terrain, especially uphill. I was very fast going uphill. You have the requirements. You have the set standards. If people pass them, who cares what their natural body is like? Who cares? As long as they are able to fulfill the role. It's when they fail to fulfill the role. They could look like an Adonis, failed to fulfill the role, and I would not want them near me. They could look like they've just fallen out of bed and haven't had a good meal for a couple of months. And if they can work, get them on my team. I don't care.
And they finally approved it. It took a couple of years. And then when he went, he was underweight. And he said, they told him, you have to gain.
I was underweight whenever I first went. The only thing, I've actually joined the army twice. I went through basic training, and then I sacked it at the end. I didn't think it was me. This was back in 99 into 2000. And then the second time I went, they refused. They said, you're underweight. And I said, but why does that matter? And they said, you won't be able to carry the weight on your combat fitness test. Whenever you do your loaded marches, you'll not be able to carry it. And I said, but I've already passed all of them. I'd done them in the past, and I found them quite easy. And it was only for the fact that I had been in before that they let me back in again, only because I had passed the physical requirements before. So I could have just been sitting here as some random bloke probably playing video games without any military history, never doing these videos, all because somebody looked at my weight on a bit of paper and said, nah, I probably won't make it. I did all right.
Some weight, you have to beef up a little bit, which he did. And he started lifting weights and everything. And they were going to let him in with his height. He was just too skinny at the time. Yeah. So he did that, and he beefed up and worked really hard. And he told him, he says, I can do it. I can do it. Why just give me a chance?
4'9".
And he was the littlest person in the United States military. He got a special congressional waiver, I guess it was, to go into the military.
4'9".
He never made a complaint about boot camp or about it being on.
This is a real deal. You have I wasn't a drill instructor. It was one course. In the UK Army, a drill instructor isn't just a new recruits trainer. A drill instructor is somebody who actually instructs people in how to do British Army drill. And it was the one course that I avoided. Everybody, 90% of people who instruct new recruits are meant to be a drill instructor. I avoided that course like the plague. I hate drill. I absolutely hate it. But this is the real thing. You have a set pace. We actually have a pace stick that we used to use to measure out the distance between artillery guns to make sure the spread of the artillery on the ground was correct. But this has now been adapted. I'll put up a picture of it. This has now been adapted, and this now creates. I think it's a 49-inch pace. But please, you drill people. Put it in there in the comments below. What is the size of a standard pace? And actually, if you're short, you struggle to cover that pace, that length of pace. So this is a real deal for short people trying to get that pace out.
Fair that they should make some sort of accommodation because of the height disadvantage.
He would jump out of the plane first. They'd watch.
One of those short people I was referring to earlier, he was a para-trained and he was commando-trained in the artillery, but both para and commando-trained. So you can imagine he's quite a fit and determined person to be able to do that
and
at his height.
Circle around and jump the rest of the company after him.
You're going to exit an aircraft in a Special Forces training operation. You're going to be carrying generators, you're going to be carrying weapons, you got your parachute system. So you'd be jumping anywhere from 80 to 100 pounds easily. So that's a lot of stuff to carry. When you're only 4'9", it's that much harder to carry that. In fact, his rucksack, which he was strapped on below your reserve parachute, it had to be close to hanging on the ground. For him to get out of the aircraft with his rucksack down here on his shins, that's pretty tough to move. The rest of us, it was maybe at our knees, but he would have had it down close to his feet. So it's physically harder for him to do that. I would have never.
No way! That looks like a joke. Shut up! Is that a real picture? Shut up. A 3-year-old daughter's getting to that height.
Just from the standpoint of who he was, he's just tough. So
that's nails.
He did it, and that's hard training. It's hard stuff to get through. There's a lot of guys to this day that put in for SF training and never make it. A lot of guys put in for 101st Airborne stuff and they never make it. But you saw those pictures that you had of him with all his military stuff on, running with a rifle, and the caption was, I think, smallest man in the military.
That's ridiculous.
That's when we arrived.
When you first got to Vietnam?
Right. Well, we didn't know what we were going to really get into when we left Fort Campbell. We found out in a hurry, especially in January, February 1968 when the Tet Offense kicked off. We found out right quick what it was like to be in Vietnam. Well, the first time I saw him, it was sort of funny because he was a real little guy and we thought it was a joke to start with, but turned out that he was our platoon leader.
Yeah, I never seen anybody smaller than him on there, other than the Vietnamese.
That looks fake.
Everybody knew Richard. He stood out.
For a
Mate.
little guy, he had a big voice. And
What a badass.
His voice carried. Maybe it was something he had practiced, but it worked.
Was it a little strange to see a guy that small?
It was very strange. When I first looked at him, I did a double take.
But I remember seeing recon platoon going across the rice paddy over there. They were just kind of all spread out, moving across there, and he was right in the front, leading, had his map out, he was looking at the map, and he had this big stogie. Stogie was bigger than him, but I remember he was leading and they were following, and to me, I said, he's a good leader.
There wasn't any doubt that he was in charge. I saw the respect that was there too, because they knew that he could be stringent at times.
He always had that attitude. He had that tough guy attitude. Even though he was really short, he was always really tough looking and always very outspoken and a forceful individual. But
Nice.
he was very smug too. He was very smug about it. He just had that attitude. He was a tough little prick, but they like tough little pricks when you're in combat. They don't want that, milk toasty guy.
He was full of fire, They're always willing to go, willing to do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
We would get these telegrams, your son has been wounded. And then a week
He
or
said
less,
plural, didn't he? He said you would get these telegrams that your son had been wounded. It was just before there, wasn't it? Telegrams.
your son has been wounded. And then a week or less later, we get another telegram. He's back in action again. So his wounds didn't stop him from carrying out his mission.
That motherfucker's tough.
Yeah.
A lot of respect for that guy. He is a tough son of a bitch.
Wow, Benghazi survivor. Wow. Two silver star, 2 bronze stars, 2 purple hearts. What? Bless him. Bless him. Let's leave that image up for a little while longer. Ladies, gents, I hope you enjoyed the story of Captain Richard Flaherty today. I think that these kind of people, sometimes whenever they get this bit between their teeth, they have not a lot to prove to themselves, because they've already proved it to themselves. They've got that belief in themselves, but they're going to prove it to everybody else, aren't they? You've told me that I didn't deserve my place here. I'm going to show you why I deserve my place here. And I love these kind of stories where people absolutely buck the trend. Everything that says that they should not be there, and they go in there and they absolutely blow it away. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Ladies, gents, thanks for the recommendations. The support over the last couple of weeks has been fantastic. The likes, the shares, the comments in the comment section, I've absolutely loved it. Thanks for checking in once again, and I'll see you very soon. Have a great week. Goodbye.